So, you're looking at a piece of land in Costa Rica, and you're thinking about getting a drone survey. Well, right off the bat, you're going to face a really big choice. And honestly, the decision you make here is going to shape your entire project. So yeah, let's dive right into it. And listen, this isn't just some small technical thing you can gloss over. We're talking about a choice that has some very real consequences for your time, for your money, and, for the actual success of whatever it is you're trying to build. So that brings us to the big question. LiDAR or photogrammetry? Now, they're both incredible tools, don't get me wrong, but they see the world in completely different ways. And the trick is figuring out which one sees what you actually need to see. Let's just be real about what's at stake here. If you pick the wrong tool for the job, you could end up with a map that is totally useless for your needs. And that means that investment, it's just gone. That's why it is so important to get this right from the very beginning. Okay, so to make the right choice, we got to understand how these two technologies actually work. You hear the names and they might sound super complex, but the basic ideas behind them are surprisingly simple. Let's break it down. First up, we've got LiDAR. The easiest way to think about it is like a super precise laser scanner. The drone flies over and just peppers the ground with millions of laser pulses, and then it measures exactly how long it takes for each of those pulses to bounce back. All that data creates an incredibly accurate 3D map. We call it a point cloud. Now, photogrammetry, on the other hand, is more like a 3D photographer. In this case, the drone flies over taking hundreds, maybe even thousands of high-resolution pictures that all overlap. Then, some really clever software stitches all those 2D photos together to build one big, detailed 3D model. And this, right here, is LiDAR's superpower. Seriously, think of it like having X-ray vision for the landscape. Because it's using lasers, those little pulses can actually find tiny gaps between all the leaves and branches and hit the real ground underneath the forest. It's amazing. Photogrammetry, though, it creates a gorgeous, full-color picture. I mean, it's beautiful. But just like your phone's camera, it can't see through things. So if there's a dense forest, it's just going to give you a perfect map of the very top of the trees, not the ground below. And that really is the fundamental difference right there. So what does this actually mean for a project in Costa Rica? Well, this is where the landscape itself pretty much makes the decision for you. It's a real reality check.
And here it is, the one number that changes everything. 60%. Roughly 60% of Costa Rica is covered by trees in some form. That single statistic is probably the most important thing to know when you're choosing how to survey your land here.
And what that means is, for almost any project you can think of, engineering, developing, even just figuring out property lines, what you really need to know is the shape of the land that's hidden under all those trees. A map of the canopy top, it just isn't going to cut it.
All right, with all that in mind, let's get down to brass tacks. Which survey do you actually need? We're going to put these two head-to-head so you can see exactly where each one shines. So, on a basic level, it's actually pretty simple. If your property has any real tree cover or dense vegetation, LiDAR is pretty much the only way you're going to get the data you need. But if your land is wide open and clear, like a farm, a pasture, or maybe a construction site, then photogrammetry is a fantastic and very cost-effective option. Let's take a closer look at this chart. First, check out the accuracy. LiDAR can get you down to about 2 to 5 centimeters of precision. For any kind of engineering, that's absolutely crucial. Photogrammetry is still very good, but it's more in the 3 to 10 centimeter range. Now look at the cost for, say, a typical 10-hectare project. LiDAR runs around $1,800, while photogrammetry is closer to $1,200. So yeah, the bottom line is photogrammetry is definitely easier on the wallet, but only if you've got the right kind of open terrain for it. But hang on, what if you need both? What if you need that laser point precision of LiDAR and you want that beautiful true color visual that you get from photogrammetry? Well, the good news is you might not have to choose. You can actually do what's called a hybrid survey. It's really cool. In just a single drone flight, the system can capture both sets of data. The LiDAR sensor does its thing, mapping the precise bare earth model right through the trees, while at the very same time, the system is snapping all the photos you need for that high-res color overlay. You literally get the best of both worlds, a super accurate foundation with a beautiful picture laid right on top. So at the end of the day, I think it all boils down to this one idea. Anyone can take a picture of what's right there in front of them, what's visible. But in a country like Costa Rica, where so much of the potential, so much of the reality is hidden under that green canopy, the most valuable map you can have is the one that shows you what you can't see.